So today I'm going to do an unboxing, a review, and initial setup of the Jet 2x42" belt sander. So I've actually had this belt sander for about 3 weeks, and it started to have a problem with the motor. And what I mean by a problem is it started working intermittently, where the motor just wouldn't get going, and it just kind of was sitting there humming, and it kept blowing the circuit breaker. So I contacted Amazon and actually got a hold of a person at Amazon. I didn't know you could do that. I thought it was all done through online, but I got a hold of a person, and I mean, without hesitation, without question at all, shipped me out a brand new unit, and I didn't have to pay for it. So they shipped me a brand new one on the premise that within so many days I would ship the old one back, and I would box up the old one in the carton that the new one came in. So I've actually got 2 units here. I've got one brand new one in the box and one that's about 3 weeks old, and I'm going to unbox it and set it up and walk you guys through that process. So while I'll use this belt sander in the shop for various things, the primary purpose behind buying it was to help me with my knife making. Got a few knives under my belt right now, and what I'm having the most trouble with is doing the bevels. And if without the bevel, it's really hard to get a good edge on your knife, and that's kind of what I'm experiencing now. So started researching belt sanders, and you can get some cheap models, which I stayed away from. This one to me is kind of in the middle. It's about a $475 to $500 machine, and ideally I would like to have a 2x72 belt sander, and I understand that that is probably the best belt sander for knife making, but you can't touch those things for less than about $750, and that's kind of the entry level price point. You can make your own, but for me, I just decided this was the right option for me. I'm a hobbyist knife maker, so hopefully this one will serve the purposes that I need. So one of the reasons I did choose the Jet machine is because of the warranty, and I know the reputation that Jet has, again, for standing behind their products. But I also have 2 other Jet machines that have served me well. One is the 14-inch bandsaw, and another one is a 6-inch oscillating sander. And let me show you guys those tools real quick. So here's the Jet bandsaw real quick. I do have a video on my YouTube channel about how to overhaul this thing, because I just went through a complete overhaul of this bandsaw. But I've probably had this thing, I don't know, 15 years, and not any problems out of it, certainly not out of the motor. So the other Jet tool that I have is this big belt sander, and it's actually an oscillating sander. So when you turn it on, this thing goes up and down. I'll show you. So never had any problems out of this machine either, and it's got to be at least 15 years old as well. Alright, so here is the brand new in the box Jet 2x42" belt sander, and here's what it looks like all set up. So again, disappointed with this machine, but real happy with the process I went through to get it replaced. Very, very simple with Amazon. All right, let's get into this, and let's get this thing unboxed. All right, so this is the new machine, and just before I get too deep into putting this thing together and setting it up, I just want to test it. Okay, I'm seeing something over here that I don't like. Do not like that at all. See how that thing... I don't plan to use this side too much, but shouldn't have to accept that. Alright, so we have a problem. This is the new machine that I just took out of the box.
And this is the sanding disc. And watch what it does. This thing is really not right.
Well, I'm really disappointed. I can accept some things, but on a $500 machine, that thing's really out of round, and it just doesn't look safe, doesn't feel safe. Feels like it's going to fly off there one day because it's going to vibrate when it's running. And this is a machine that you're going to run for long periods of time, and I just don't trust that wheel being that much out of alignment. So, you know, I was a little suspect when I took this out of the styrofoam because the dust cover for the belt sander side, and the first unit that I bought wasn't on the unit. In this one, it was on the unit. So, and the box is really beat up. It looks like it's been shipped a couple times. So maybe this is a return from somebody else and got mixed up, hopefully not intentional, and they just put it back in circulation and I got it. But it really needs to go back to Jet because that's a significant flaw with the axle or the shaft, whatever you want to call it, that attaches to that disc, that sanding disc, and that thing is really out of round, and like I said, just doesn't feel safe.
Alright, so to get this thing off, I've got to remove these screws here. Pretty easy. That's just a dust shield, and then go in from the back with the 3mm Allen head. They actually give you the Allen head. So let me get this off, and then let's put it on the new machine and see if that solves the problem. Alright, so this is the disc from the old sander. Not as many of these drill marks, I guess balance marks, than this one had. You can also see here that there's no play on this one at all, so it's flat versus the one that was. Let's see how much wiggle room that thing has. So let me try to put that new one, the old new one, on that shaft, and let's see what happens. Okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Looks really good. Alright, so this thing looks really good. I don't think it's warped at all, and let's test it with the power. Power off. The thing is pretty solid.
Alright, well, I'm actually kind of happy now, even though it took me some troubleshooting to figure that out. This disc is definitely bad, and I'll send this back with the old machine. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the assembly of this one. It's pretty straightforward, and I'll show you guys the parts and how to set it up.
Alright, I've got all the parts laid out here, and there's not very many. There's the table for the belt. There's a little dust cover that goes on this disc part. You saw me take it off of the old one. You've got your table for the disc sander, a couple of these handles. You've got some 3 washers, some screws. This is the tensioner knob. Give you a couple of Allen heads, and then you've got your miter gauge. No assembly required there. Alright, so let me get these tables on and get this thing put together real quick. Alright, so there is the this is the new table for the disc sander, and this is the old one down here. And if you look right there, there's a damage to it, and it's raised up a little bit. I don't know how I can show you that better on camera. So you can see it right there. And I promise you, I'm not trying to be too picky about this. But that raised part right there, if you're sanding something on here, it's going to raise the level of your work a little bit, and I don't want that. So even though it's got a few scratches on it, it's used. I'm going to go to the old table for the disc side, and I'll return this one with the little nub on it. Alright, there she is, all set up. Everything looks good, everything's working good. I haven't trued the tables yet, or made them square. Let me fire it up real quick. That vibration is the miter gauge there. I already figured that out. So two other things to show you real quick. This screw right here, it's got a little set screw. That's your tracking for your pulley right here. So this right here, this knob that you screwed in, this is the tensioner, and when you pull this towards you, it gives you that slack in the belt and allows you to change belts fairly quickly, or at least allows you to get the belt off the pulleys quickly. Changing the belt on this particular model is probably the largest complaint. You have to take this dust cover off, and if I'm not mistaken, you have to take this table off as well, or at least loosen it, because there's no way that blade is going to come out. Now, I saw one guy on the reviews on Amazon where he cut his, he actually did a really nice job with it, but he cut it something like that, and it allows him to slide the belt off during blade, I keep saying blade, during belt changes. So that's something I may do in the future, is cut mine out with a cutoff wheel. It's not solid steel, so it should be fairly easy to do, and cosmetically it doesn't look that bad either.
Alright, overall I'm pretty happy with this thing. I'm glad I had the first machine here and I could pirate some parts off of it for this new machine. Like I said, the old machine is only about 3 weeks old, but the new machine that I got in, the sanding disc, the wheel was warped, and also the table had a raised nub on it. Not to be picky, but the raised nub would have bothered me, and again, on a $500 machine that shouldn't be there. So I did take the old table from the old machine and put that on the new one, and now there's no nub. I got a couple of scratches on it, but I put those on there, so I'm okay with that. So hope you enjoyed this overview of the 2x42 jet belt sander. I hope you don't have the same experience I had, but I think that I'm going to be good now, and Jet stands behind their products, and certainly Amazon stands behind what they sell as well. I was in the 30-day exchange window, but no questions asked, shipped me out a new machine, which is pretty cool. Alright, so if you like this video, you like the content of the channel, hit that subscribe button. And hey, thanks for watching.